not inconsistent. You are simply giving up on something before it has time to get traction. Most entrepreneurs over 40 that I meet are literally describing themselves as inconsistent because we've been told that consistency is the key. They're beating themselves up about it. They feel like everyone else has it figured out except them. But here's the thing. Every single one of those people, when I watch what they're doing, they're actually the most consistent people in the room. They are the hardest people working. They're not lazy. They're not undisciplined. They are simply overwhelmed. And overwhelmed people don't have a consistency problem. They literally have a focus problem. We were sold a lie. We were told that we just needed to build an offer, that we needed to build a funnel, we needed to have a social media platform, we needed to be on every platform, we needed to have multiple streams of income. And people do the best they can in showing up. But those people who are teaching us are at a point where they have teams, they have big budgets. And literally what they're teaching us is not what they actually implemented in the beginning to get where they are. They did not have to figure out tech alone at 11 p.m. like most of us are doing before they could even think about selling anything, because they now have a team that does it for us. If you keep doing all the things that the gurus are explaining to you to do, the ones who have a team, who don't understand how hard it is, the ones who have the money to spend $30,000 a month, and it doesn't mean anything to them, to be across every platform, to launch new offers constantly, you will keep getting the same result that you've always gotten, and you're burning out before your strategy ever gets a chance to work. And this video and the guide that I am walking you through here, which is available in my Social Seller Society, is going to show you what to do instead. The lie that most of us are falling for was sold to us by online educators, and it doesn't work if you're a solo business owner. So we're going to go over why you're not inconsistent, you're just spread too thin, how to diagnose where your strategy is actually leaking real data, the one thing framework that you need to stay consistent for 90 days, and I'm going to give you, if you jump into my community, you will get an exercise where you can put it all into practice and you can brainstorm it for yourself. Let's talk about the lie. We were told to build everything. Now, this is what most people are doing, and this is what shiny object syndrome looks like in practice. You get an idea. You then go and you build the course. You build the sales funnel. You do the tech stack. You create the 90-day plan. And here's what happens. Then you go to market it. Now, you've gone to market, but you've got zero validation on demand. You didn't wait till people ask for it. So what happens? You bin it because it didn't work in the first live or the first week or whatever. And off you go to start the whole process again. But literally, this is not what has ever worked for me. It has rarely happened in one post, one story, or one conversation. What literally happens is I will watch what people is doing, what they're saying. Then I will have the idea. Then I will go and simply get people to raise their hands. So I might do a live video, I might do a story or a post, or start to talk to people who I saw with the issue. And they then tell me that that's a product that they want. This 90-day run is an example of that, because I do one of two things. I either build something that I need, which is what this 90-day run is, or I am listening and I meet that need. So most entrepreneurs, they actually build the entire thing before testing if anyone wants it. And when they do build the entire thing, the sales page, the course, the content strategy, they're not giving it enough time to get actual real data. I had a client who paid for a sales funnel for me and then came back a couple of months later and said to me that it didn't work. And I looked at the stats, sent one person to it in the whole of the 4 months. When I come back to her and I said to her, well, it doesn't work is because you've sent no one to it. She wasn't broken. Her marketing strategy was. And this is where we find people are constantly changing their offers. Like I'm on someone's social media platform, they're promoting their one-on-one. And next week they're promoting a masterclass. The week after they're promoting some low ticket thing. The week after that, they've got some high ticket offer. And what happened was that most people are so confused. They don't know where to start with you to start with, or because they're overwhelmed, they don't start at all. There's an old saying that a confused mind rarely buys, and this is what happens in this case. So changing your offer every few weeks actually destroys your credibility. People don't know what you do or where to start with you, so they don't start at all. Now, if you look at my offers and what I sell on social media, it always has the same name, the Social Sellers Society. Everything that I'm building goes into the Social Seller Society. Now, it might be the low ticket version, it might be the free version. Like, you can come into the Social Seller Society, you'll get access to the community, you'll get access to these tools every week. But then there's also a paid level. So if you want to have access, for example, to the execution run that we're doing at the moment, you can do that. That's a low ticket offer. Or you can come in and you can work with me one-on-one. That's a mid-ticket offer. But everything that you see on my social media, everything that you see me promoting in different groups, it is all the one offer with the one name. And in there is a different bunch of back-end offers, but that is not what people see. Now, when we use that kind of strategy, we get credibility. People start getting known that Faith is selling the Social Seller Society. This is the part of the Social Seller Society that she's selling in this YouTube video, as an example, or on this YouTube post. But people know the offer as the Social Seller Society. This is where we start to get credibility. People see the same offer repeated. And when we are in a trust recession, which is what we're in now, and people are super skeptical because they've been burnt by all these different fake gurus, this is what helps to build credibility. It helps to build trust. And it's easier for us because we're promoting the one name. It has different components to it. Like this week, we are working on the Execution Edge, which is the 90-day run. We're also working on a different component of the social sellers, which is the content brain, which is helping them to be able to train AI at an executive level so that you do not get any more AI generic anything. There is no AI slop. It can literally think like you. It can be your CEO if you're a creative. It can be the person that actually produces work for you at a quality that you would produce yourself. But again, all you see on the front end is the Social Seller Society. And when you get inside the free group and you start getting access to the tools like this one, and you start to see the other posts around accountability for the Execution Edge, now you're introduced to the different layers at different price tags in that offer. You literally may not have a funnel problem. You literally may not have a systems problem unless you've got too many systems that are trying to talk to each other and it's costing you a bucket ton a month. You may have a promotion problem if you're not getting people to raise their hands from social media or from the content or the comments that you're doing, because that's another way that people raise their hands. That might be something you need to work on. Maybe you need to work on getting people to actually click on the links. So let's talk about that for a session, because this is what people are not talking about, how long it actually does take. Like a lot of the time in 21 days, and I've talked about this before, you have your invisible list. These are the people who are watching your content and watching what you do. They may occasionally comment or like, but you don't see them necessarily. They are the ones that social media is like, they paused on her content. Let's show it to her again. Let's show them a different piece of content and see if they pause again. Now, here's an example of that. I am on Facebook and I watch a lady who is in farming. I never followed her, but every single day in my news feed. Why? Because I have paused on her posts. That is the invisible effect. Now, for some people, this might be 30 days because they need to learn how to get people to raise their hand, meaning you need to learn the angle for content that works. A lot of people just post random content, but what you need to do is you need to have Claude or some AI trained in what your offer is, that it can give you different angles so you can test which kind of angle is the one that gets people to raise their hand the most. And then we go into the next part, which is when we start to get the first signals. This is the early data. This is people commenting. This is people answering our stories or answering our comments. Or in the case of school, where they're coming to your about page and they're looking at you. These are the first signals that your content and your engagement strategy is starting to work. And then we get to what I call the 90-day diagnosis. And this is where we can actually see where the links potentially are in our content. So for instance, if you're someone who's doing a content first strategy, you might go to YouTube and you might look at the metrics that matter for YouTube. Now you have signals on your content, not emotions, but actual signals where you can work on stuff to improve your content, improve the angles. Then you might look at my comments, my engagement. How many comments did I do? Because a lot of people are waiting for the algorithm to show them to people, and that just doesn't work, especially if the algorithm doesn't know what you're about. Whereas if I'm on Instagram, and this even works in school, if I'm in school or on Instagram and I'm engaging with a type of people, guess what happens? Now I start to see them. I can follow them. I can engage with them. I can build a relationship with them. And now on Instagram or on a social media platform where there's an algorithm in play, guess what happens? They start to see my content. They go on my invisible list until they follow me, as an example. And this is where we start to get into the final part of it. A lot of people are not putting enough people through their systems before they give up on it. So for example, one of the things that I was taught when I was starting funnel building was you never make a change until at least 100 unique visits. And the reason being is you literally don't have enough data to see what's working and what isn't. Now, we were told at an ultra level, you do not change it until 1,000 because that's when your real data happens. You are able to see then where the leaks are in the funnel. And I wanted to give you an example of this where you need to actually just keep following through for a run in order to get the reach. I remember when I was first starting in this, one of my social media mentors, she gave us the challenge of going live for 30 days. I hate being on camera, have since the beginning of my time with social media. So doing 5 live videos every week was literally overwhelming. And in the first week, I literally wanted to quit because I was getting like under 20 views with each of them. But here's the thing, she wouldn't let me quit. By the time that I got into week 3, my views were well over 1,000. I was making sales. And the only reason that that happened was because I followed through long enough, 1, for the algorithm to start to show me, 2, for me to engage so people started looking for me, and 3, that I got better at that skill. And your commitment window is directly tied to your commitment level, because this is another thing I see, especially in network marketing. We were told just talk to 5 people a day. Well, you're talking to probably the same 5 people. And let me just tell you, if you have big goals, you've got no chance of hitting those big goals usually if you're talking to only 5 people a day and you're only warming up 5 people a day. So this is where the momentum level comes into it, right? Now, the other thing that I see is, oh, you missed a day. Like if we do like the 25 hard challenge, for example, quick, start again. You missed a day. Eating a day or 2 is fine because you still have 20 days worth of data. And what we're talking about in the sprint that we're doing in the 90-day run is we actually talk about how can you get yourself back on track in 1 day. Not, a week later. You get yourself back on track in that 1 day. And you literally cannot diagnose what is broken until you've run it long enough to get the real numbers. 3 people coming to your funnel is not enough. Even 3 people buying is not enough. It's just a sample size. So this is where we start to look at, well, where is the actual leak? Is the actual leak in the content? Like in your engagement strategy, people are not raising their hands, they're not commenting, they're not engaging with you, they're not asking for links. So in the hand raising level where you have an issue, is it at you give the links but nobody clicks through to the funnel? So that means it's at a systems level, or maybe at a rapport level or a trust level that you have an issue and you need to work on strategies that build that, for instance. Is it at an opt-in level? So they're coming to the funnel, but they're leaving 3 seconds later. Maybe it's a sales copy issue. Are they opting in, but they're not buying? Is it a trust issue again? What can we do? And this is where we start to look through it. And here's the problem. You might go in and you might change everything all at once, but then you have ruined your data because you don't know which of the things that you changed was actually the one that worked, which is why we work systematically through tweaking. And the amazing thing is sometimes you don't need more traffic. All you need is a conversion rate between the opt-in and the buy and maybe your upsell purchases to be higher, and suddenly you have the same traffic, but you have doubled your sales. So this is where we come into the final part of it. Stop trying to be everywhere. One of the things that I see is we've been told to be on every platform, and that works for Gary Vee and it works for big creators because they have $200,000 plus to focus on content. But if you don't have that, then what you need to do is start to work on being known. So if you love Instagram, And Instagram is a little bit of a beast on itself because it's not great for organic visibility, but it is a great place to start to be known. Same with school. I can go into people's groups. I never have to post anything. I could literally just be in the comments field and the owner of the group start to see my name. Now I'm starting to be known. And I can do that on Instagram on industry leaders as well. I'm not there to steal their people. I'm literally there to just be known. And you might be engaging with people who have your people. Again, it's about being known. So this is when we start to look at, we have 90 days fun focus. So for me, this is my focus, the 90 days. I am building it and I'm executing on it at the same time. My 3 MITs are very simple. I am focusing on building this out loud, meaning my content is around this at the same time as I'm building this product based on the feedback that people are giving me each day. Here's the thing, I sold it before I ever started building it. Number 2, I'm focused on just 2 platforms. One long form style platform, which is YouTube, you're on it now, and one short form style content platform, and that is Instagram. And then my backup is I am in school communities and I'm engaging. That's part of my engagement strategy. So my first MIT is building this out loud. My second MIT is to start 1,000 new conversations over the next 90 days. And my third MIT is to create a content multiplication system. So this is a system that I can use inside of Claude that knows my brain, that can help me execute content faster and help me repurpose content successfully to each of the platforms based on their preferred best practices for that. And that is all that I'm focused on. Building the system is the first part of this. Then I'm focused on actually talking to people and building the relationships and then building the actual offer as I'm doing it. Now, omnipresent sounds great, but if you half do the content on 5 platforms, it doesn't build trust. You don't get engagement if it doesn't meet the criteria of the platform, and it just confuses people. And as a result, you get no results. Every platform has its own content rules, and that's why we need to repurpose only when we're optimized for that platform. And then what we're focusing on, one offer. So for me, you've heard me say it, it's a social seller society, which is part of one customer journey. So my lead magnet is the social seller society. Inside there, I have a classroom that has low ticket offers. It also has the ability to work with me one-on-one, which is a mid-ticket offer. And then I can step into high ticket on the back of there. But it's one customer journey and it's one offer that people see on my social media platform. So that is the basics. Now it's your turn. I've got an exercise, and if you jump into the Social Seller Society, you're going to grab this exercise and you're going to work through it. I've given you a video to help you work through it as well, so you can demushy your brain and remove the overwhelm and strip back to what are you going to achieve. Because think about it this way. If you could run a focused run for 90 days, you literally could do the amount of work and the amount of systems and get the amount of results you could achieve in a year in the next 90 days if you were super focused. And that is what this is all about. I'm excited to see you in it and see you next week.